Politicians have the tendency, when their policy is stomach infrastructure.
My guest on the program is Mr. Kenneth OKONKWO, an actor, lawyer, columnist, former spokesperson, Labour Party's Obidati Presidential Campaign Organization, and business administration graduate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. For the next hour, we will be discussing the state of the nation, the state of his party, and find out if this actor turned politician has some political ambitions of his own. Welcome to Political Paradigm, Mr. Kenneth OKONKWO.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Nigerians, for joining in.
It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's get down to that. You've been talking quite a bit recently about a lot of things, but I'll get to your quotes on those things recently. Let's start off with one of the biggest stories out there, which is this coalition opposition party type thing. We're not quite sure how it's supposed to work out, but we did hear Mr. Patutomi, break it down for us, explain it in theory as to how this is supposed to work. But there are so many questions. Is it going to be a political party? What's it going to be called? Who's going to shelve whose ambition for the other? Your principal is a member of this coalition. When you found out about this, what were your thoughts? And what do you think about a coalition party? Many people have said, should Peter Obi shelve his ambition, as he was asked to do earlier in 2023? What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that whoever advises Peter Obi to shelve his political ambition is doing it at the person's political peril. You can imagine a human being that went into another political party almost 3 months before the election, and he won 12 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. No other candidate won more than 12 states. No other candidate scored up to 25% in FCT. He's the only candidate that got 25% in the whole geopolitical zone. You know what? Peter Obi is the opposition leader.
But he is a part of a coalition right now.
Coalition is not a party. It is a platform to negotiate, to know whether there will be a party. In law, we'll call it invitation to treat. It's not yet a qualified offer. So it is simply a platform for negotiation. And in politics, dialogue is the acceptable way of achieving compromise and solution. So coalition is simply a platform for negotiation. It is not yet a political party. So you cannot say whether anybody is a member of any coalition.
If it does become a political party?
That's a hypothetical question.
If it does?
Then
we have seen this happen before.
Oh, yes.
It started like this.
Absolutely.
And then a party formed.
It is.
Even the ruling party started like this.
As a matter of fact, in a democracy, two parties will eventually be dominant. So it is not only advisable, it is desirable. So there's nothing wrong with that. But remember to ask me this question again when it eventually happens. Because now it's a hypothetical question. And I'm always very reluctant to answer hypothetical questions. In law, we'll call it an academic exercise. When it becomes a life issue, remember to ask me again.
So let's talk a bit about 2023. One of the questions people had about your principal was that he should have shelved his ambition. Put yourself down in the People's Democratic Party. Fly Atiku's flag. You may stand a chance. You may not become president, but you might become vice. And the idea really is to take power away from the ruling party. We stand a better chance as opposition if you shelve your ambition and just go under the People's Democratic Party. That conversation is coming up again as we prepare for 2027. You mentioned earlier that anyone who's advising him to do that is doing that at his own peril. So it's a bad idea, really, for Mr. Peter Obi to do that. But isn't it? Think about it, Mr. OKONKWO. If he's able to, doesn't the opposition stand a better chance of wresting power away from the ruling party if some personal ambitions are put aside for a moment?
Well, it would have been more brilliant if you had just opposed your decision and made it appropriate. You should have been saying, if Atiku Abubakar had shelved his political ambition, and this is exactly why I'm saying this, he has contested for 6 times. Will he continue contesting forever? 2, he's above 70 years. The remaining part of his life is by the act of grace. 3, it is the time of the South by their own constitution, section 7(3)(c). 4.
You mean the constitution of the PDP?
Yes, section 7(3)(c). Power rotation, power shift. And Northerner has had it for 80 years. And it was the time to shift to the South. And the ruling party has keyed into that. Yet, you are in the opposition. Atiku Abubakar recognized that it was the turn of the Southeast to produce the president. Why usurp it? You can't go to equity with dirty hands. So you should have said, if Atiku Abubakar had done the right thing and shelved his ambition, today, PDP with Peter Obi would have been president. Let me tell you, before this time, the youths went to Wadata Plaza and they were screaming, give us Obi. It was out there in the PDP. And at a certain point, they thought money can buy everything. That is why PDP will never be a good opposition. Because you cannot outspend the ruling party. Because the ruling party has the power and resources. You know what Hayatuddin said about the Congress of PDP? When they had the convention to produce their primaries, he said he wasn't going to participate because it's obscenely monetized. You know what Peter Obi said in his resignation letter? He said, this platform can no longer provide me a viable vehicle for me to achieve the new Nigeria that I am looking for. You know what I say? I say a party that is, that has made itself susceptible to stomach infrastructure can never be a good opposition party. Look at what is happening there. All of them are going to kiss the ring. They are going to shake hands. Why? Stomach infrastructure, nothing else.
Are you referring to Daniel Bwala when you say that?
You have said so. So what I'm saying is, right from
but you said
the
that
leader,
you didn't mind. You said that you understood him going to see the president. I read your quotes afterwards.
No, I said there is nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with
if the
it.
president commands you to see him. If the king of your place tells you to come and see him, wouldn't you go to see him? He would just call the Inspector General of Police and tell him this man is a terror threat. And they would carry you to the place. Yes, you may sue after. They will pay you the money, $100 million. But he has dragged you to see him. Because he is in charge of the security apparatus.
So when you say kiss the ring,
yes.
Who's kissing the ring?
I am saying that politicians have the tendency, when their policy is stomach infrastructure,